Alright guys, well we're starting to get into things now. Spent about a half hour pulling out the old brake line that came from this connection here through the wheel well across, and then it anchored where the old flex line used to be that goes to the axle. We got it laid out here on the floor and comparing to the one that's going in. Can't see how well it's going to come out on camera, but you can see it's identical up in here, goes to here, and now it changes. So instead of the old one, which has a short run right here and then goes to the anchor, this one has that short run, then it goes up, supposedly in the hump area, and then it goes back to the new clamp, which mounts to the bottom of the car, which is here. I don't know where this goes yet, but it should be pretty evident under there. No bolts with this. That's one thing I noticed. So I guess we'll figure that out when we get there. Other than that, there was a little extra work getting the old one off, the old brake line off. Convertible, I'm assuming it's convertible specific. There's a couple other plates down there that looks like they're added after the brake line is in. So you can't get at one of the clamps in the back. There is like an access window, but of course it doesn't line up with the hole. I can show you that once I crawl under there, but I just took the old 4-inch wheel and cut through that, made like a slot so I could get my wrench in there, get my socket in there and take that off. And the one up front, the one cover that was up front was pretty much trashed anyways, rusted out, so I just cut that little cover off. That one did not appear to be structural, it just appeared to be some type of perforated shield. I don't know. Thin metal. That one came off real easy. But all in all, it came off pretty easy. But again, I wasn't worried about anything. I just loosened it up. Started yanking things out. Drilled out a couple rivets. Took out a couple clamps, and it came right off. I do have the axle lines on already. They're just snug. That went right on. This kit is a little more from LMR. This kit from LMR, it's a 4-cylinder to 8-cylinder conversion, is a lot easier to figure out than just buying brake lines from NPD. Because like I think I told you in the last video, I just bought the brake lines, the V8 brake lines, and I'm like, how is this supposed to work? Because the brake line's over here and not there. Well, this one is actually a 4-cylinder to V8 conversion. One thing I did find out though is the part numbers are the same on the back axle, so looks like I'll be returning the NPD ones again because I don't need 2 sets. But this time I'll just return them instead of exchanging them. And the kit also came with a new piece up here. This one here, which goes down to the distribution block up across the back, but my previous brake line kit I purchased already has that, so I don't need that. I'm going to keep having at it. Again, not much room underneath the car for video, but I do want to mention one thing that I think is, probably one of the best things I've come across in some time working on your car in the garage, and as silly and simple as it is, when you're working on a car on just like a concrete garage floor on your back rolling around, I always found it best to get some old cardboard boxes. I mean, you always got cardboard around, and lay on the cardboard. Well, I found this, just a cheap sheet of linoleum, is just really nice. I mean, as simple and stupid as it might sound, when you're the guy laying on the ground, and cardboard is good for a short time, but it gets musty and dirty, and this piece of linoleum, we actually bought it to put underneath a playpen for our puppy when we first got our puppy, so he didn't, like, you know, soil right on the floor in the house. But you know, we were going to toss it when the puppy got older. You know, he's 5 months now. He has little Bob you saw running around earlier. So we cleaned it up, and I'm telling you, you put this thing on the floor, it is so nice to work on the ground with this. It's slippery, it wipes off, you know, oil doesn't soak into it, and you know, it's not so bad. You know, I mean, you know, getting down on your knees when you're, you know, mid-50s, you know, that's not so easy, but sliding around under the car is a heck of a lot nicer than on the bare concrete. So highly suggest to anybody that does work on their car right on the ground without a lift or something, go to Home Depot, get a roll of this stuff. It's cheap, it's pre-cut. I think you started out as like a 12 by 12, I believe. And you know, I'm gonna get a bigger piece. Actually, I was just talking to my wife earlier. I'm like, when I get both cars rolling so I can get them out of the garage, I'm going there and I'm getting, you know, a nice big piece or 2 big pieces, because for the money, it's really nice. Anyway, enough of me rambling. I'm gonna get back to work, and I'll catch you up in a minute. All right, guys. Well, it's in, and while I was down there, I tore out the remnants of the old fuel line and return line, along with the what's the line? The vapor line, the gas vapor line that ran full length. I do want to put some clamps on it. I have some nice rubber insulated clamps that with a self tapper, and I want to pop those on, as well as throw a couple more anchors on the fuel line, because in a couple areas I just had a zip tie on the old fuel line that was, you know, mounted securely to the floor. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to crawl back under there, and when I'm all done, I'll show you what's going on. Everything's just loose right now, but I wanted to make sure it all fit before I start, you know, anchoring this stuff down. Thought that's always best, because then you can, if you have to move it around a little bit, you can. But yeah, it worked out nice. The only real problem I had was the mount that goes on the car, where the steel line terminates and the flex line starts, that, you know, was included in this kit. There were 2 holes, same bolt pattern or same hole pattern as the bracket. It appears it takes one of those large self tappers. I only had one that was the right size, and the bracket, that fixed bracket that goes to the car, the holes were the same size as the car, so I did have to open up those holes in order to run that screw in, you know, to make that work. But I'll get another one of those screws, but that's not stopping anything for right now. So, all right, I'll update you in a second. Well, that worked out pretty well. Let me show you what I used to bleed those brakes. So I don't know if anyone's ever tried these before, but it's a self bleeder. Picked that up from my O'Reilly's that I visit frequently, and I did have some leaks. Couldn't figure it out, like, how is this thing supposed to work? I'm not getting any vacuum. But from there, I went and started pumping the pedal, and then the leak showed up, right? Because when you're under vacuum, you can't see it. But when I started getting pressure in the system, it started coming out. So I had a leak. The fitting on the bottom of the master cylinder I didn't have tight. Thought I went over everything, but you know, you got to really reef on these things. And then I had the brake line on the top of the axle on the driver's side where you can't see it. I had to reef on that one a little bit more. But guys, I got a good pedal. You know, I did have to do some tweaking a little bit underneath on the when I had the tires on. I realized my emergency brake cable was coming a little too close. You know, these tires are big, guys. They're really wide in the sidewall area. They're stretched over those wheels pretty tight. Probably gonna have to downsize because I can see they're gonna cause some issues. I know I can roll the fenders and all that stuff, but I mean, there is no room for error on there. But anyway, like I was saying, I had those on, noticed the brake line or the emergency brake was too close. Readjusted that. I got a pedal. I think I'm just gonna keep going and start putting on the sway bars. There's no reason, you know, if I threw a seat in this right now, that I couldn't drive it down the road. So getting excited. I do want to change out this electric fan I have in here. I think I mentioned that before. If anybody's interested in that, it's a really nice setup. You know, it's got the acorn nuts on it and it bolts right to the stock radiator. But I did end up getting this from one of my fellow Detroit Foxbody guys. He reached out and he's like, I had an ad on Marketplace, and you know, I had some parts listed, and I also said, hey, if anybody has a cooling fan set up, and he did. This guy reached out and he's like, yeah, I got one. It's in my attic. I'm not using it. He's like, if you want to meet me somewhere. And I'm like, oh, heck yeah. So I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but thank you again for that. And maybe you can see the Stormtrooper now a little bit better in the sunlight. Well, kind of overcast, but I put this on and it was darn near dark when I finished it all up. But I think the red stripe really looks nice. Kind of sets it off, gives it another line. Matches the red interior. I was hoping to do a drop-in car show this evening, but looks like we're going to get rain for about an hour, so I don't know how much of a car show that's going to be. I might just throw the cover on, or I really don't want to pull it back in the garage because I'm working in here, but I've worked around it in the past. It would be a shame to get it all dirty, though. I got it all nice and clean. So yeah, I think I'm just going to continue on and start throwing the sway bars on. This did not have sway bars when I got it, so this ought to be interesting. I have no idea how they're going to adapt to the aftermarket control arms, so we shall see. Well, plans changed. As you can see outside, about as soon as I finished recording, the sky opened up and poured for 5 minutes. So, yep, car's dirty, dogs are wet. But I changed my mind on doing those sway bars. I'm thinking, why am I doing that? It doesn't need that to drive, and I can do those over my buddy's house who has a lift. So went on to the next logical thing and started the car up because I wanted to, because I like the way it sounds. And really I thought I'd test the clutch out. Now that I have brakes, wanted to make sure rear brakes are working, all that good stuff. Didn't work out too well. When I hooked up the cable, I hooked it up to the middle part of the quadrant, not the last part, and I had my suspicion if I was going to have enough travel. The clutch has to be right to the floor in order for me to get it in gear, and even then it's not that happy. It just like kind of snaps into gear. So I think I'm going to loosen up the cable at the fork and then pull it to the next quadrant on the clutch pedal, and then readjust the clutch pedal, and we should be good to go. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. I did clean stuff up a little bit and got myself a little Captain and Coke here so I can get some help thinking with the captain, and gonna go back and dive under the car. Not my favorite place to be is underneath that steering wheel adjusting the quadrant. I probably shouldn't have done that right off the bat. But I'm just trying to think of all the things I can do before I let it back down on the ground. And clutch cable's one, and I think I'm going to drop the front end down, leave the back end on stands because they're on the axle, and then I have to tighten up all my bushings because everything back there is just, you know, finger tight because it's got to be in ride position to tighten all that stuff. But you know, I'm going to do whatever I can here. I'm going to do the best I can, I should say. Having weight front and rear and still being able to slide underneath the thing. So I think I'll just drop the front down, and it is what it is. Maybe I'll adjust them later, you know, again, I don't know, maybe it'll be good enough, no idea. But that's the next thing I'm doing, is I'm gonna dive under there and adjust the quadrant. Hey guys, I don't know where I left off. I kind of got sidetracked yesterday. I was talking about doing some putting the sway bars on and all that. Didn't end up doing that. Yeah, like I said, got sidetracked. Ended up starting the engine up and checking the clutch again. I think we got the clutch right. Moved to the last quadrant, readjusted the clutch. Feels like it needs to loosen up a little bit. Hoping the trans is okay. You know, it's been sitting for a long time. I don't know how long before I got it. But yeah, I didn't get all the other stuff done. I'll have to work on that this week, but we're getting close. You know, I know I keep saying that, but you know, we got an emergency brake, we got brakes, we got a clutch that works. Engine seems good. I did get that clutch fan and shroud. I do need those two clips to go on the bottom of the radiator that hold the shroud. I'll have to look up in NPD's catalog, see if I can just buy them. If not, I'll just make something out of sheet metal or something. They're just little, it's like an S clip. We'll need an overflow tank, which I'm really happy that I got that. I'm hoping it works, the shroud, I mean, and the fan, because it saves me from having to come up with some kind of a overflow tank. So Jason, if you're listening, if you want that overflow tank that I bought, that cylinder, you're more than welcome to it. And today is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that may be watching. Had a nice morning so far. We went to church and out to breakfast, and got home. My wife's doing some yard work, and I just changed oil on the Stormtrooper. First time in a little while. It was a little bit down. Might have been down 3/4 of a quart. But it needed it. It was dirty. It was a nice day. I'll give you a walk around on that car. Mainly stock. I did put a classic air kit on there because the AC was not working, and I thought that would be the easiest route. It comes out, it's not. It's still not hooked up. I have some kind of leak in it. Looks like I have some corrosion going on my battery cable there, but for the most part, it's pretty factory. It looks like it had a radiator. It's got the aluminum radiator in there at one time. But shock towers look like brand new. You know, I did try to do a quick touch up on the engine compartment or in areas I could see. But I didn't mask up or get down there too far, but you can see it looks pretty good. Got to do something about that wiper motor. That looks pretty crappy. But Yeah, the car looks nice. You know, like I said, I did the stripe last week. I don't know what this is. Something ripped down the side of the car. But it's fun to drive. You know, we took it out last night. Again, went to another drop-in car show. And there were 3 Capris there. 2 were the ASC Capris, I think that's what they're called. And 1 just 5.0 Capri. You don't see those around very much. And boy, were they nice. I really like those. You know, they had the flared wheel wells, kind of, you know, the shape, and then the bubble window. I know some people don't like the bubble window, but you know, I like them just because they were different. But it was pretty fun. A lot of cool cars there. I like doing those things. They're kind of fun. And you know, we're just living, you know, the Motor City. There's all kinds of stuff going on all the time. I believe there were 4 or 5 just this week. We only went to 2. But anyway, enough of my rambling. I just wanted to wrap this one up and out to you guys. I was going to show you underneath. I can try to poke under there a little bit, but it's really hard to see under the car and what I was doing down here. Yeah, there's not much to see. You know, the brake lines are on. Maybe from the back would be a better view. I'm still filling up the rear end dope back here. I got one of these pumps. It takes forever. But pretty much wrapped up. Got the traction bars on, roughly adjusted. Not that they do a whole lot, but they look pretty cool. But you can see the brake lines up and over. Still got the stickers I got to tear off of there, but just another week, another few hours of work. It's getting closer. Alright guys, well thanks again for watching, and getting close to the finish line, at least getting it on the road, so it's pretty exciting. Talk to you later. Bye.